Chapter 299 I Fear. When Qing raised her hands, something weird happened. There was a ring on every finger of her hands. All 10 rings lit up with a bright glow, making her look like a member of the nouveau riche. Following that, a scepter appeared in her hand, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black soul ring surfacing from it. The first, second, and third soul rings lit up simultaneously. Although her control of her soul skills wasn't as immaculate as Xia Xiao's, she could still be considered quite adept. 3 connected streaks of lights landed on Qin Yue. Her entire body started to shine with green light, and her entire aura immediately changed. On the other side of Qin Yue, Chenju materialized a heavy shield in his hand. The top of the shield was rectangular, while the bottom was a triangular wedge. It reached almost 2 meters in height, a classic power shield. He looked fearsome as he hoisted his shield. Chenju's martial soul was unknown, but it seemed to enhance his strength and soul power. His shield was embedded with 4 huge gems, which soul engineers could tell formed the formation arrays of his shield. Attack, defense, and enhancement. The combination of these 3 from the Clear Sect was rather strong. Furthermore, they defended the rest of their teammates as they appeared. The Tang Sect was advancing less quickly. No one had unleashed any strong abilities. Shu Sanqi walked in front with the shield of the Swan Wu turtle before him. As he looked at Chen Jun's shield, he even said, "Oh, I finally met someone similar." Both parties were less than 30 meters apart now. On the Clear Sect side, Qin Yue lifted her blade up high. However, the Tang Sect's formation broke apart just before she managed to slash her blade down. 3 went to the left, while 4 moved to the right, creating a gap in their formation. Qin Yue stopped her blade suddenly and spat out blood in extreme discomfort. The gap her opponents had created was supposed to be where her blade landed. Just as she stopped, Wang Donga used Hua Yuao's wheelchair to propel herself into the air. In midair, the goddess of light's pair of butterfly wings opened up, and the light of the butterfly goddess shot straight towards the Clear Sect like a glowing meteor shower. Not only that, but a series of whizzing sounds also resonated out. Streaks and streaks of white light flew into the air under the cover of the light of the butterfly goddess, and engulfed their opponents. The origin of destruction, Hikato, finally attacked. Apart from Hikato, the rest of Shrek's 7 monsters were most adept in near or close combat battle. Even Hua Yua wasn't an exception. Although he was also a soul engineer, he didn't specialize in long-range attacks. Hikato had always been researching stationary soul tools, and he had learned how to accurately attack his targets from a distance. Although he couldn't use stationary soul tools in this tournament, he was still very good in terms of long-range and wide area type attacks. While Tang Sect's movements to their left and right appeared very sudden, it was precisely these movements that immediately messed up the Clear Sect's rhythm. When Hikato's wide area attack landed, Qin Yue still hadn't slashed out with her blade yet. Furthermore, Hikato's soul tools and Wang Donga's light of the butterfly goddess were guided by Hua Yuao's spiritual detection. The level of precision was down to the millimeter. Hua Yuao was even monitoring the formation of their opponents. Hikato wasn't using a strong soul tool, only a class 4 stinger cannon. Such soul cannons weren't able to create explosions that covered huge areas, but the penetrative power of the attacks from such soul cannons were very high. They could potentially even punch all the way through someone and hit the person behind them. The best way to deal with such soul cannons was to avoid them. As long as they were avoided, they were unlikely to cause much damage. Hikato fired 16 of these cannons. At least one of them was targeted at every Clear Sect disciple, and was even aimed at their heads. Their points of contact were precisely calculated using Hua Yuao's spiritual detection, and no mistakes would be made. The remaining 10 cannons were aimed at one person, which wasn't the team leader or Shui Bing. They were aimed at the weakest, but fastest, Yu Chen. Wang Donga's light of the butterfly goddess seemed to engulf a huge area, but it only had 2 main targets, Shui Bing and Kane. The light of the butterfly goddess surrounded both of them for only one reason, to affect them so that they couldn't help Yu Chen. As for the 3 in front, they couldn't pose any threat to the Tang Sect, even though they were a good combination. Everything sounded like it took a long time to complete, but in fact, this was all done very quickly. A tremendous boom shook the arena. Wang Donga's light of the butterfly goddess was decently strong. She was a soul emperor, but her attack wasn't considered extremely strong because she unleashed it over too large of an area. However, they still had to block her attack even if it wasn't at its best. In contrast, the penetrative abilities of stinger cannons were much stronger. Out of the 6 Clear Sect disciples, Chen Jun, the one with the shield, was the first to make a move. He raised his shield into the air and covered himself, Qin Yue, and Qing. As the tremendous boom sounded out, the 3 of them stopped in their tracks, but weren't hurt by the light of the butterfly goddess or the stinger cannons. The intense lights released by his shield blocked all the attacks. Shui Bing continued to demonstrate his strong side. As he moved, a dominating aura was released from his body. A strong gust of gas rose into the air and destroyed the stinger cannon shell flying towards him. After that, he also helped Kane block the light of the butterfly goddess. He also quickly revealed his martial soul, as he leapt up and jumped over the 3 in front of him, bursting straight towards the Tang Sect team. Kane raised her right hand gently, and 5 long, dark golden nails extended out. She used her nails to scratch the stinger shell, which seemed to be drained as it contacted her nails, and failed to explode, instantly turning into a piece of scrap metal. As for the light of the butterfly goddess, Kane used her nails to destroy it, too. However, Yu Chen wasn't so lucky. As an agility type soul master, his role was to stay at the sides and lay an ambush for his opponents when the opportunity arose. It was the best way he could unleash his greatest fighting strength. As a result, he was stuck behind as his teammates burst forward. He wanted to take a side route and secretly attack one of Tang Sect's members. He had no fixed target, but instead was ready to attack whoever was most exposed. However, 11 stinger shells were crashing straight towards him under the cover of the light of the butterfly goddess before he even had a chance to move. These cannons accurately took into account his trajectory, as well as how he circulated his soul power. He felt as if he were running straight into them. He wasn't as powerful as Kane, and was even defeated by Wang Donga badly in the first round. After some rest, he had restored around 50 to 60% of his power. However, he was taken aback by these 11 cannon shells. Out of pure reflex, he used a few soul skills and managed to deal with them. However, a terrifying feeling caused his entire body to shudder. As he lifted his head to look into the sky, Yu Chen was horrified to see a metal ball with a diameter of around half a meter in the air. This metal ball was facing him like a huge eye, an intense red glow undulating on its surface. As he lifted his head, a streak of red light had already shot straight down towards him. At the same time, 4 familiar golden rings appeared around him. The 4 beams of golden light also rose and instantly locked him in place. There was no chance of escape. A huge figure appeared in midair. A white barrier blocked Yu Chen's head, and a loud boom rang out a few times before it stopped. Yu Chen was very pale as he stood very still. Clear Sect, Yu Chen, eliminated. The huge figure was undoubtedly Zhang Zan. When the streak of red light crashed down, he already knew that Yu Chen was helpless. In addition, Yu Chen had already used his invincible barrier. Even if he hadn't used it yet, he might not even be able to block this attack even if he tried to use it. He was facing a strong class 7 soul tool called the Eye of Fear. The Eye of Fear was a strange long-distance control type soul tool. It could only take effect after being fired into the air. How high the Eye of Fear was fired was dependent on the level of the Eye of Fear. Such a soul tool could either be class 7, 8, or 9. However, the difference in strength between each class was quite large. A class 7 Eye of Fear could be fired up to a height of 100 meters. From there, it could attack up to a distance of 300 meters. Every 10 seconds, it was able to fire a terror ray. A terror ray could dissect, blast, penetrate, dispel, scorch, and corrode, among other effects. How long it could last depended on the charging capabilities of its energy gathering formation. A class 8 Eye of Fear could be fired up to 300 meters up and remain in the air. It could attack at a distance of up to 1,000 meters and could be fired every 15 to 20 seconds. It was 3 times stronger than a class 7 Eye of Fear. Additionally, it could explode. When it exploded, everything within a 250 meter radius of it would die. As for a class 9 Eye of Fear, one was rumored to exist only in the Sun Moon Empire's secret weapons vault. No one knew how strong it was, as it had never been used in battle. Creating a Class 7 Eye of Fear was already very complicated, as difficult as creating 3 ordinary Class 7 soul tools. While the offensive abilities of an Eye of Fear were quite strong, it had a great flaw in that it couldn't lock onto its target. It was dependent on the aiming of the person who used it. If its target moved, it would be useless. It was very important to predict the movement of one's opponent in order to use this soul tool well. Conversely, it wasn't easy to predict the movement of an opponent who had to be dealt with using an Eye of Fear, along with the fact that it was very expensive and complicated to create an Eye of Fear. Most Class 7 soul engineers were unwilling to make one. Another major flaw of the Eye of Fear was that it was easily broken. It would break as long as it was accurately hit even once, and the strength required wasn't high. Furthermore, an Eye of Fear couldn't move once it rose into the air. It had gained a nickname after it was created. It was called the Terrifying Chicken Ribs. However, this Terrifying Chicken Ribs managed to kick Yu Chen out of the team round. Otherwise, he would have been blown apart by its terror ray. This attack along with Wang Dong's 4 hexagram arrays was enough to defeat Yu Chen. This was the teamwork of the Tang Sect team. After firing his Eye of Fear into the air, he K2 revealed a grin. It was like it had nothing to do with him. He had a second, out of helmet on for the moment, and a control button in his hands. The button enabled him to position the Eye of Fear. As for aiming at Yu Chen, it was something that he didn't need to worry about. With Huo Yuao's spiritual detection helping him, the powers of the origin of destruction were bound to be enhanced to the limit by the eyes of the Asura. Boom. The huge anaconda fell from the air and knocked into one side of the wall. Shu Sanqi lunged forward to block before sliding his body back by a meter. He managed to deflect Shui Bing away in that moment, and prevented him from disrupting their formation. Xia also acted at this point. Her black 3-live soul crush cauldron instantly grew in size until it reached 3 meters in diameter. It fell from the sky and crashed down onto the head of the anaconda true body. Wang Dong had just completed her 4 hexagram arrays and returned to Huo Yuao's side. Zhang Nanan didn't move, and remained at Shu Sanqi's side. Nana shifted, moving behind Shu Sanqi. The front 3 of the Clear Jade Sect also adjusted their positions. Jin Yue raised her blade up high under Qingqing's enhancement, and an intense blade light shot out, more than 30 feet in length. The armor on her body was also like a burning green sun. Her aura was soaring at an alarming speed. Accumulation. She chose to accumulate her power now. While she only had 5 rings, the might of her attack would be extremely terrifying afterwards if given time to power it up. But the Tang Sect seemed to be unbothered by this. A streak of deep blue sword light appeared like a bolt of lightning and struck the anaconda true body. The anaconda let out a pathetic scream, and a deep wound surfaced on it. Light shot out in all directions because of this. As Shui Bing activated his martial soul true body, it naturally didn't possess any blood. However, it was surging with soul power undulations. The sword light that struck it carried the strength of ultimate ice. Shui Bing was being suppressed. The cute snow lady drifted up into the air. As she saw the anaconda true body, she seemed very scornful. The Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques, unparalleled chill, Empress sword. The Tang Sect was undoubtedly even more terrifying when they fought as a team. With Huo Yuao's spiritual detection, they easily suppressed their opponents. Zheng Zan sighed as he watched everything. The Tang Sect is too strong. It seems like the Sun Moon team was right to give up in the team round. 5 against 7. They wouldn't have been able to beat the Tang Sect, considering how strong and coordinated they are. At this point, the Clear Jade Sect was at a complete disadvantage. They hadn't given their all yet, but they were already down 1 member. The rest of them were also being suppressed. Their earlier formation, which was quite strong, was of little value at this point. This left them like headless chickens. Kane finally acted. When her team members were all in disastrous situations, she burst out like a shadow. She was extremely quick, far quicker than Yu Chen. As they saw her figure flash, she was already in the air above the Tang Sect team. As she lifted her hands, 10 streaks of dark golden light shot towards the Snow Lady. Not only that, but she also let out a high-pitched shriek. Everyone in the Tang Sect jerked as one, and was slightly delayed as they tried to unleash their abilities. Quick. Even Huo Yua hadn't expected Kane to be so ferocious. However, the Snow Lady wasn't afraid. She wasn't under Huo Yua's control. She possessed her own intelligence, and the fighting capabilities of the Snow Empress. Against the dark golden rays, her body swayed a little, and she flitted aside like a streak of deep blue light before brushing past them. At the same time, she moved to place her small palm on Kane's chest. The Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques, Empress Palm, Snowless Glacier. She immediately used her killer move. The roll might have been effective on the Tang Sect members. However, how could it have any effect on the Snow Lady? Kane didn't continue fighting the Snow Lady. As her attack had no effect, she quickly shifted positions, too fast to be caught. This time, she appeared above Huo Yuao and Wang Dong. She clawed down at their heads. As the team leader of the Clear Jade Sect, Kane knew that Huo Yuao was the one commanding the entire team, even though he seemed like he was the weak link by being in a wheelchair. If he was removed, the Tang Sect's coordination would be messed up. Whatever crisis Zheng Zan could see, Kane could also see. To win this team round, she had to get rid of the brains behind the Tang Sect. Dang, dang. 2 crisp sounds echoed out. Kane was stunned. Neither Huo Yuan nor Wang Dong had blocked her attack. It was a big shield instead. Kane's fighting style was to immediately shift her position after she attacked. Otherwise, she would be in trouble once she was cornered by the Tang Sect. She didn't hesitate at all, her figure flashing away as she returned to the air. This time, she opened up a pair of dark golden wings behind her back, driving herself up towards the Eye of Fear above her. At this point, the Eye of Fear had only charged for 3 seconds. She had chosen the perfect time. If she didn't destroy it immediately, it could pose a threat to her entire team. None of them knew who its next target would be. However, the weird thing was that no one from the Tang Sect stopped her. No one even tried. After Shu Sanqi blocked Kane's attack, he moved back in front of the entire team again. His shield was still in front of him, and he watched Qin Yue, who was almost done with her power accumulation. At this point, she was already targeting him. Shu Sanqi had to be overcome first, no matter whether it was because he was a 6-ring Soul Emperor or because he was a defense-type Soul Master. In their previous clashes, neither Shui Bing nor Kane managed to make any headway because of him. A weird smile appeared on Shu Sanqi's face. Zhang Nanan shook her head gently when she saw that smile, and also started to act. She moved with a flash, and leapt forward diagonally. Her target was the anaconda true body of Shui Bing. Huo Yuao's eyes shone with divine light. The Snow Lady returned to his side again, but she stopped behind Shu Sanqi's back. She raised her small and delicate hands. Wang Dong could tell that rings and rings of icy blue light were forming in the center of the Snow Lady's right hand at a rapid rate. Was she accumulating the power of her Snowless Glacier? What was she doing? The Snowless Glacier would only have sufficient effect if it struck the opponent directly. However, Wang Dong was only a little doubtful. She was also drifting in the air under the guidance of Huo Yuao's spiritual detection. Streaks and streaks of hexagram arrays rose into the air as both parties fought each other. Their target was the anaconda true body. Shui Bing was unfortunate. He had already been struck once by the unparalleled chill as he was careless. Right now, he could only try to maintain his anaconda true body. The intense pain and the ultimate ice were greatly diminishing his fighting strength. While a martial soul true body was strong, his was not a true martial soul true body. As his abilities were diminishing, he also didn't dare to face Wang Dong's hexagram arrays directly. He was also afraid to rush forward. Xiao's 3 live soul crush cauldron coordinated with Wang Dong's hexagram arrays to suppress him, preventing him from advancing any further. At this point, Kane was already in front of the Eye of Fear. She reached out with her claws, about to destroy it. However, a weird feeling engulfed her body suddenly. Kane only felt the space surrounding her destroying furiously. Her claws found nothing. Following that, she realized a familiar yet frightening streak of green light was crashing down from the sky. Her head was its target. How is this possible? Kane was astonished. However, she had no choice but to resist the attack. She clawed at the air, creating a dark golden light projection. Her wings also opened to their maximum span behind her. However, a cool hand pressed against her back just as she was about to use her strongest defense to resist this attack. None of her team had expected such a huge change to occur. They would still have had a chance if Kane managed to destroy the Eye of Fear. However, Kane and Shu Sanqi's positions were suddenly switched at the perfect moment. At this point, Qin Yue completed her accumulation and slashed down with her blade. Her target was now Kane, who was momentarily lost after after she switched positions with Shu Sanchi. The cool hand contained the smallest glacier. Kane knew she was in deep trouble. Everything had happened too quickly. The mysterious underworld displacement had the same effect as instant teleportation. Zhang Zan thought he was seeing things as everything changed. There was no time to react. Everyone from the Tang Sect knew that they had won. As this strike was unleashed, Hua Yuao also completed another attack. Purplish gold light flashed in his eyes before Shui Bing screamed pathetically from afar. He was already weakened, but his martial soul true body was immediately dispelled under the attack of Hua Yuao's spiritual shock. The three live soul crush cauldron immediately divided into three separate cauldrons before the cauldron quake was unleashed on him. Shui Bing was locked in place. At this point, Jiang Nanan was already in front of him, and she kicked him in the chest. He was immediately overcome when Jiang Nanan got close to him. Even Hua Yuao believed that they had won this round. Furthermore, Kane was surely going to be killed under the combined attack of Qin Yue and the Snow Lady. The smallest glacier could kill a soul sage. Given enough time to accumulate, Kane was only a 6-ring soul emperor. The combination of the mysterious underworld displacement and the Snow Lady was too strong. However, something changed at this moment. Kane's body cracked as she was struck by the Snow Lady's palm. Before being hit by the blade lights, she instantly split into 3 parts, which flew off in 3 different directions. These 3 figures turned into 3 dark golden bats in the air. One of the bats turned a deep blue after flying less than 3 meters. After that, it broke apart. The other 2 bats quickly flew in 2 different directions. One of them headed for Hua Yuao, while the other flew towards Shui Bing, who was being restrained by Jiang Nanan. What's this? Hua Yuao was also shocked. The bat flying towards him had a wingspan of 3 meters. There was a dark golden circular ring on its neck, and it screeched as it got close to Hua Yuao. This screech caused Hua Yuao to enter a momentary trance. Following this, the back of the bat shone with a streak of bloody light. A projection that looked exactly like another bat appeared and plunged towards Hua Yuao's chest. This skill was 60 to 70% similar to the blood shadow human puppet that Adler had used against Wang Donga. Although Hua Yuao was in a momentary trance, his reaction was still very quick. A huge, half-transparent light shield blocked his body. The blood-red eyes of the bat seemed to be filled with disdain. Didn't Wang Donga tell Hua Yuao that the blood shadow human puppet was able to ignore any form of defense? However, the body of the bat turned rigid in the next instant. The bloody red projection collided with the shield. It didn't manage to penetrate through, and even staggered after it struck the shield. Milky white glow surfaced on the shield, and seemed to form smiley face. Following this, an exact copy of the blood-colored bat projection was deflected away directly towards the dark golden bat. The dark golden bat screamed in pain before creating a dim golden light projection behind it. This projection changed into spots of golden light that surged towards the shield. To both parties, their opponent was using very weird abilities. Neither of them expected the other party to possess such abilities. Kane escaped death, but she didn't feel very well after being attacked repeatedly. Wang Donga and the Snow Lady were still beside Hua Yuao. The dark golden bat was stalled for a while after it was hurt by the shield. This momentary delay offered time for Wang Donga's butterfly goddess slash to cut towards the bat. A huge ball of light instantly changed into 108 blades that surrounded the bat. Another strange scene appeared again. The dark golden bat blew apart again and changed into countless smaller bats that absconded in different directions, managing to escape from the very concentrated attack of the butterfly goddess slash. However, not all of them managed to escape, as a few of the smaller bats were still killed. On the other side, the other dark golden bat was in a much better situation. The blood shadow human puppet changed its target to Jiang Nanan, and she had no choice but to escape. Xia directly used one of her cauldrons to cover Jiang Nanan, which blocked off the puppet's attack. However, in doing so, Kane also managed to alleviate Shui Bing's crisis. All these changes happened extremely quickly. Qin Yue only managed to retract her blade after Shui Bing had already been saved. However, a streak of red light that exuded a terrifying aura descended from the sky at this moment. This time, its target was Qin Yue. No matter how capable Kane was, she couldn't save Qin Yue after she was repeatedly attacked and forced to save Shui Bing. Zhang Zan reacted again and blocked the attack for Qin Yue. At the same time, he announced her elimination. 2 out of the original 6 members from the Clear Sect were eliminated. It was the Eye of Fear's turn to demonstrate its strength again, and after firing, it started to accumulate its strength again. K2 also unleashed his attack. Countless soul rays and cannon shells were fired towards Shui Bing and Kane. On the other side, Shu Sanchi landed right in between Qing Qing and Chen Jun. This was going to be a clash between shields. Boom. Their shields collided with a startlingly loud impact. While Chen Jun's shield was much bigger than Shu Sanchi's shield, he was much inferior in terms of strength. After the collision, he took several steps back, very unsteady on his feet. Qing Qing was alert and quickly retreated. The lights released from her scepter were now directed at Chen Jun. Shu Sanchi snorted, and his shield shone with a layer of black light. His entire body was also dyed black as his third soul ring shone brightly. Let me deal with these 2. With his abilities as a Soul Emperor, it would be very embarrassing if he couldn't deal with 2 Soul Kings. He was once regarded, along with Bei Bei, as one of the new generation Gemini of Shrek Academy. Hua Yuao didn't rush to attack. He exploited Hikadu's wide area attack, and all of them gathered together into their formation once again. Wang Donga replaced Shu Sanchi, while Xia and Jiang Nanan were at her sides. Hikadu and Hua Yuao were now behind her. Lastly, Nana was behind Hua Yuao now as she pushed his wheelchair in place of Wang Donga. From the start until now, Nana hadn't made a single move. In fact, Nana was a little unfamiliar in terms of her abilities and coordination with Shrek's 7 monsters. Hua Yuao's mission for her was to cover for everyone. If their opponents crept around the backside, her job was to slow them down. What martial soul is that? Nana asked. Hua Yuao shook his head. He was also unsure what Kane's martial soul was. However, the result of this team round had already been decided. The only thing was that they hadn't fully accomplished their goal yet. The Clear Sect team was definitely stronger than they had expected. Donga. Hua Yuao called out gently. Yes. Wang Donga nodded gently in reply. Their minds connected, and she understood what he wanted even as he spoke. An intense beam of golden light rose from Wang Donga's body. Her upper body bent back. Her waist supported her as she formed a bow shape with her body. She grabbed onto Hua Yuao's shoulders with her hands and did a handstand on his body. The rest of the Tang Sect quickly separated to the side. The air seemed to freeze at this point. Countless streaks of blinding light started to spew out from Hua Yuao and Wang Donga. Time seemed to stop at this moment too. The radiant butterfly goddess golden blue wings expanded rapidly. Almost instantly, their size doubled. Originally, she only had front and rear wings, but right now, there was an additional pair of jade green wings in the middle. They were smooth, shiny, and dazzling. A strong aura of life came from this additional pair of wings, as if they were saying that the true meaning of life was light and water. Their aura of life complemented her aura of light. As the dazzling wings opened up, blue, golden, and green light seemed to shine with countless other colors. There seemed to be countless beads of gently rolling water on the wings. They refracted all the light shining from them. Countless streaks of light shone brightly, and layers of frost were released as well, starting from the bottom of her feet. They made her slender figure appear even more elegant. As the frost spread, everything around her seemed to turn into a world of ice and snow. As the chilly aura spread, Hua Yuao and Wang Donga's fused body also started to shockingly transform. Hua Yuao disappeared, and a slender figure quietly appeared amid the tricolored glow. It was a lady that seemed to have already matured, more than 180 centimeters tall. Her slender figure was extremely captivating. She had long, powdery blue hair that flowed all the way to her feet. Her eyes were a bright gold, and her figure was beyond perfect. Her ravishing looks made all the ladies present pale in comparison. Every streak of light and every curve on her body complemented the other. No one could describe how they felt when they first saw her. However, everyone's attention was captured by her the instant she appeared. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.